Welcome to our international podcast, Below the Belt. So good to have so many of you, including the first on YouTube, Beatrice Selby. Good to see you there, Beatrice. How are you guys doing? How you keeps? How you keeps? How was the weekend, folks? What a weekend it was. Happy Valentine's. Happy Valentine's. We hope that you guys got a Valentine. And even if you don't, you're going to treat yourself anyhow because investing in you is number one. Is number one. Good to see so many of you joining us already, wherever you guys are joining us from. Big week ahead of us, folks. Big, ginormous week ahead of us. Lots of things are happening, folks. Where we are, as you guys should know, we broadcast our international podcast from the cooperative oil producing Republic of Guyana, the national capital city of Georgetown. There's where we broadcast from, and lots is happening where we are, and we hope it's the same where you guys are as well. We want a boring time. Things got to happen, folks. Things got to happen. We either be shaped by events or reshaping events. Good to have each and every one of you. Nonetheless, with us guys, we are so privileged tracking a number of things this morning as we come on for our international podcast. As you know, there's a huge conference happening where the oil and gas sector is concerned there at the Marriott. And we got a couple folks visiting with us, guys. We got a couple folks visiting with us. Respect and manners to all of those folks who are visiting Guyana for the first time, or maybe you've come back. Folks, guys, we made to understand we got some beautiful folks like Mia Motley, the Prime Minister of Barbados. We are hearing that Mia is already on the ground and engaging in quite a number of bilateral meetings. You'll hear the accent there, folks, getting deeper every day. Mia Motley is engaging in a lot of bilateral meetings with other heads of government who are visiting for the conference, as well as Irfan Ali. So Mia's here. We're being made to understand also that Nana Addo, the president of Ghana, is also scheduled to be in Georgetown for this conference, and this is Nana Addo. Nana Addo, he's going to be here as well from Ghana. And we have also joining us from right next door in Suriname, according to my colleague Christopher Jones, Suriname. We have Chandrika Prasad Santoki is going to be here for that big conference as well. Chandrika Prasad Santoki is going to be here as well for this big conference that's going to be happening at the Marriott. That's going to be happening at the Marriott, folks, and we're going to be following that and getting the as much information as possible for you guys. As much information as possible. That's what we do. You hear my accent, man. Hear my accent. My accent. So we're going to be getting information for you guys and letting you know exactly what's going down there at the Guyana Marriott. And as you know, lots of questions still about the oil and gas sector, about our preparedness. Well, we passed first oil till we got to second oil now, folks. We are past first oil. We're now at second oil. And so lots of questions being asked about our preparedness to handle this magnitude of wealth, to manage this magnitude of wealth. And, we're watching that, adding our voices to the mix as well. That's what we got to do, add our voices to the mix. But again, quite a number of folks are joining us. So, apparently we got to be on our best behavior. The theme of this International Energy Conference and Expo, well, the proper name, rather, let's start there, is the International Energy Conference and Expo Guyana. And it is kicking off tomorrow. The weather.com says we should expect some rain. We should expect some rain there. So we're watching. We hope all goes well. These discussions need to be had. And we don't mind foreign investments and all of that, as long as the people benefit as well, as long as the people, the small man, the man in the street, as long as they benefit as well. The theme for this international conference is rather charting a sustainable energy future. Charting a sustainable energy future. I might have led you wrong in the name of the conference, but this is the theme, guys. Charting a sustainable energy future, the International Energy Conference and Expo Guyana. Charting a sustainable energy future, the International Energy Conference and Expo, and that's what's taking place there at the Guyana Marriott Hotel. And we understanding that Darren Woods, who is the CEO of ExxonMobil, he's supposed to be here as well. And a number of bilateral meetings are going to be happening on the sidelines of this conference, folks. Lots of bilateral meetings are going to be happening as well. But as we said, folks, lots of, a few foreign dignitaries supposed to be with us. And we know lots of folks who are influencers and stakeholders in the oil and gas sector. Carl Fordyce, they're going to be here with us, and Ronnie Caesar, they're going to be here with us, folks. And just some of those who are going to be headlining this conference, guys, just some of those persons who are going to be headlining this conference. And we are expecting Nana Adu, or Ado rather, and he is the president of Ghana, and as well Chandrika Prasad Santoki, Chandrika Prasad Santoki from Suriname is going to be joining us as well. And those are just three of international leaders who are going to be here, inclusive of the CEO of ExxonMobil himself. He, according to what we are picking up here, some of the reports we're getting, he's expected as part of this oil and gas conference that is going to be happening under the theme Charting a Sustainable Energy Future, the International Energy Conference and Expo Guyana. And again, the CEO of ExxonMobil, we're being told, one Darren Woods, he's expected to be part of this melee as well. So Mia's on the ground already. Mia's on the ground already. Spotted, you know, that segment from our evening program in the ring. Spotted. We spotted Mia, folks. And good to see Idol Rodney watching us from New York. Idol, thanks for the thing, my brother. Thanks for the thing. Thanks for the thing. Thanks for the thing, Idol. Good to see Kwana Mingo, Karen Clark. We see you guys. So heartened that you guys are here. Terry Ann Grenville, good to see you. And Terry Ann is watching us from New Jersey. And we got Richard Fordyce is here. Andrew Cuthbert says, boots on the ground, we am backing down. Folks, I think I'm going to be out at the marriage tomorrow, protesting, guys. We got to lend our voices to our cause. You know, the guys said they're going to come in, they're going to renegotiate this PSA and all of that. None of that has been done. A series, folks, of missteps. The Petroleum Commission still to be functional, still to be operationalized. The Petroleum Commission, folks. You know, these oversight bodies ensure that the oil and gas money spent properly, not in place. Even the Natural Resources Fund, the board has not been appointed as yet. Yes, Vishnu Ramcharan, the board has not been appointed as yet. And Rena Cummins, Alexis Arthur, and Sade DB. We still got a lot of things that are outstanding. Roxanne Garraway, we see you guys as well. Roxanne and Richard Fordyce, Marilyn Thomas and Roxanne Aaron. Carlton Bark is here as well. Shonat Sicharan, Mohan is here. Good to see you guys. Good to see each and every one of you. Happy Valentine's, guys. We trust that you've had a fantastic, you're having a fantastic day. It's Valentine's. Happy Valentine's, guys. And if nobody told you happy Valentine's, at least you heard it here. Happy Valentine. Respect and manners. We love you guys. We love each and every one of you. We hope that the rest of Valentine's is spent productively. That's our hope, guys. That's our hope. But good to see so many of you. Good to see so many of you. And a number of things I said we're tracking, and one of which is this International Energy Conference that's going down. But that being said, folks, we picked up on some video from out of Linden where the police are being said to be complicit when trying to cover up an assault on a school child by what appears to be another pupil. Sorry, the parent of another pupil, rather. And I want to share some of that audio with you guys. I want to share some of that audio from that incident with you because there was a commotion among the parent and some school children. And one of them was slapped by this parent, if the information we have is correct. And of course, that kind of that's untenable. That's untenable right there. Take a listen to some of the commotion. This is Linden. I couldn't identify exactly where in Linden, but the commotion between the parent and the student and other students who were in the vicinity of where this alleged assault took place. Take a listen.
Go and bring your body out here. Go and do that. No. Just stop. What the fuck are you doing?
Yep. So we're being made to understand that there was some kind of an exchange of words or so between two of the students there, and this male parent, the father of the other student, visibly um, can be seen in the video slapping this young lady in uniform, and the other students are there looking on. And we could never allow ourselves as parents to go to that extreme. We could never allow our parents to go to that extreme. But more than that, we're being made to understand that the authorities there in Linden, the police in Linden there, apparently turning a blind eye to this assault on the student. I mean, it could have been much worse. I could imagine how the student could be traumatized and all of that. And where is the police? Too many times, again, we engage the police stations and you hear, oh, it's a private matter. It boggles the mind. It boggles the mind. And here is a case where you can see in this video a parent assaulting this child in this brutal manner. One slap to her face. One slap. We only see portions of the video. We don't know what came before that or what came after, but clearly not a way to go as a parent, guys. Clearly, not a way to go as a parent. For those of you who have joined us, we're going to be joined just shortly by the one and only Bryan Maxx. Bryan Maxx does a lot of advocacy work and recently posted some video footage of the travesty that was unfolding behind the Marriott and the Pegasus Hotel on the beachfront there, where a lot of debris, what seems to be builders' waste and so forth, was dumped at the back of that area there. We are following that. And we know that by way of update, that was cleaned up recently. And again, it's really and truly credit to Bryan Maxx and this kind of work and advocacy that Bryan does. And we're gonna be talking to him about that among some other things. You see, there got some people who talk the talk and some other people who walk the walk. And Bryan Maxx has been doing both, walking the walk and talking the talk, and that's beautiful. And we say respect and manners to Bryan for that. And when we see good things are happening or good things happen as a result of advocacy that people would have put forward, we can tip our hats to them and say good job, good job, good job, good job. We couldn't have done it without you. We could say good job. That being said, folks, Bryan Maxx is going to be joining us, and by way of information as well, some other information we're coming by. We're told of a report coming out of the USAID locally, a USAID report locally, which is floating the idea rather, that the major parties locally need to find a way towards functioning democracy. The parties locally, and this nonsense with Air Funny, you want to meet with Aubrey Norton as leader of the PNCR or leader of the opposition until they recognize as a legal government is madness. Is all madness, folks. It's all madness. It's all madness. So we're following that. We're following that as well. And according to one of the daily news, and again, we're picking this up out of Sabbath News in particular. It's a page 3 story, and this is what some of the some how some of it reads. Uh, as August 2021 report done an August 2021 report done for the United States Agency for International Development, USAID, has pointed to the challenges in framing a common vision for the country's future and says that major parties need to devise a way to form a functioning democracy based on power sharing rather than on winner takes all system. Interesting. Interesting. So again, that's coming out of the USA body. Yep. We need a functioning democracy, and so they're advising on power sharing. We got to get a whole discussion just on that issue alone, power sharing. But again, the winner takes all system. That's what pervades, guys. That is what pervades. You could have the level of the parliament. You could have 49, let's say for argument's sake, 49% of the vote, and you have absolutely no say on how the budget is spent. You have no say on how what happens territorially or otherwise, right? Or otherwise. Um, so that's what they're saying, guys. That's what they're saying. You ain't gonna say territorially, you ain't gonna say economically, you ain't gonna say socially. Them boys come with a slim one seat majority and bulldoze everything. Bulldoze everything. Right? Veto everything. Because you understand that they would rather nothing than something and it's functioning, under somebody else efficiently. That's the kind of people we're dealing with, guys. Is the kind of people we're dealing with. So we're following that as well. We're following that. This report out of USA suggesting that the major parties locally need to get some work in. Need to get some work in, guys. Need to get some work in. And I am so looking forward to have Bryan with us momentarily. So looking forward to that. So again, folks, we got a big energy conference happening. Um, on Tuesday, that is tomorrow. And on the heels of that, we have the report from the USA indicating that we should be looking towards a functioning democracy and getting to that through uh, floating the idea of power sharing. Power sharing. It's our privilege again to have each and every one of you guys. What are you having for lunch? What are you guys having for lunch? And weather.com is telling us it's 26 degrees outside, but it feels like 30. It says 26, feels like 30. There's a 60% chance it's going to rain this afternoon, a 60% chance it's going to rain later on in the day. Well, it's going to rain, guys. And there is also um, lots to do as we get outside, and we hope that you guys are well wherever you're picking up our international podcast below the belt from, wherever you picking it up from. We trust that you guys are having a fantastic day, and let me try to get Bryan. Happy Valentine to each and every one of you guys. Happy Valentine. We hope the day is going great thus far. We really hope that the day is going great and all is well where you are. All is well where you are. We truly hope that is the case. And you guys are going to stay warm. If you're somewhere where it's cold, you're going to stay dry. If you're somewhere where it's raining, like here, and all shall be well, folks. All shall be well. Let me get Bryan. Let me get Bryan in the thick of things. Let me get Bryan in the thick of things. Let me get Bryan in the thick of things. Let me get Bryan in the thick of things. And I'm so privileged again to have Bryan joining us. And I am trying to get yep. And we do have Bryan with us. Give us 1 second and let us get him set up properly so we can get some proper audio. Nothing less will do. Nothing less will do. Bryan, do we have you this afternoon?
Hi, Sharon. A very good afternoon
A
to you.
very good afternoon. You are live, Bryan. I think this is your first time below the belt, and we know you're a guy hits very hard below the belt, very hard.
Yeah.
Bryan, we are
I like
gonna
a good uppercut every now and then.
Definitely, definitely. And one is needed every now and again to get some of us in our senses. We're going to talk about some of the
Definitely.
advocacy. We're going to talk about some of the advocacy work that you've been doing, Brian. But for just for those
Yeah.
persons who are listening to us internationally who may not know who Brian Max is, give us a sense. I know who you be. I follow your work all the time. But give us a sense who Brian Max is.
I'm very Guyana focused on Guyana for the people of Guyana. I don't have a political party as such that
Mhm.
I follow or I prescribe to. I like I like to be alone. I'm a lone warrior at times, and I my fight is for a better Guyana, for the average Guyanese, the poor Guyanese, to be able to enjoy a better quality of life. And through the years, I've been the health advocate of Guyana, advocating um, for the doctors to respect and the medical institutions to respect us as people. I've written hundreds of letters to the newspapers on health issues and demanding that our health institution and doctors, follow the rules that they work on.
Mhm. Mhm.
I actually was able to get one of the ministers of health during the PPP's original term in the 23 years when they were in before to go to Parliament and amend the the health law, the Medical Act of I think 1991, to include two non-medical persons on the medical council board, so that you just didn't have doctors alone um, taking in complaints from patients. If someone takes in a complaint to the medical council board, originally you had I think 6 or 8 doctors would sit and decide on their peers
Mhm.
if their fellow doctors did wrong. Because of me, I was able now to get two non-medical persons to sit on the medical council's board, and a little opportunity for us to have a better say when should we ever have the need to go to medical council to make a complaint against any medical practitioner, whether it's a nurse, doctor, assistant in a hospital, whatever, a hospital for that matter. So over the years, I've been advocating for a cleaner Guyana, a better Guyana, better salaries. When the teachers had their strike during the APNU days, I took down a lot of water for the teachers. When the same teachers again had a strike against this government, I again took down water. It wasn't accepted as nicely as it was accepted when I was doing against when I was in power.
Mhm.
As the
Mhm.
sides change, everybody figured that you got to be on their side. I like to run down the middle of the line. I have no side. I One day I'm on your side, next day I'm telling you that hey, I'm not liking what you're doing.
Oh,
And
you
in
take it.
Guyana, that's a position that very few people seem to understand. I am not on any political party side. I'm
Yeah.
just
On the side of right,
doing what I
what you
think
deem to
is
be
for
right
Guyana.
and good and just. Yep. And folks, Brian has been doing some good work. And I can say that what he said there is the truth. If you're doing wrong, Brian can fight you. Right? If you're doing good, he can praise you. Right? He ain't for APNU, AFC, he ain't for people, he for everybody. He for good, he for justice. That's what he stands for. And just recently, to put things into context, Brian was the person who highlighted what was happening there on the beachfront there by Marriott and the Guyana Pegasus hotels that are in Kingston, with the backdrop of the seawall. A lot of builders' waste and a whole host of stuff was being empty there. Brian, did you find why they were dumping that stuff there? And it was Brian who brought that to the public for reshared some of it from Brian's Facebook page, and the authorities rethink that position they were taking, and that area now has been cleaned up. Brian.
Yeah, what happened? They were repairing some of the clockwork he gave them on Sheriff Street.
Mm-hmm.
Like in front of you, go there now, you'll see some work being done by 64th Street,
Mm-hmm.
where they actually out sand and debris from that area, like about 10 feet from where the road was laid. And they're digging out there now and then doing the foundation again. So they were taking out the material from there with all that old rod and all that old evidence that they dumped in there originally to build it up. And they took it on the seawall.
Mm-hmm.
So they would want to tell you they took on the seawall to simply put it so that when they were ready to use it, that they would have it there. But what they were actually is attempting to take away um, folks going on that seawall. Let me tell you something. This government is not happy that we reclaimed our beach. They're not happy,
How so?
even though they
How so?
had nothing to do with the blocking of the beach, because originally it actually started with the Ministry of Health with COVID guidelines.
Mm-hmm.
And then the manager, the Pegasus, he had taken it on himself to lock up the gate even further. He put on an extra set of locks, and you literally couldn't even go on the beach, even if you wanted to walk on the beach. I
So,
went over there a couple of times and got so angry because it's a nice place for Guyanese. We're not messed with the beaches that we have in the Caribbean and Bahamas, Jamaica, stuff like that. So that's the beach is our own little place. And I always like going out there. It's a very peaceful place. And for years now, we know that they always talk to the wall and improve and make it better, make it more visually attractive to everyone. So it's part of what I like to see. And I reach out to see whatever I can do over the years to make it a better place. Back in the days, once on New Year's night, and we party from 7 in the night until 7 in the morning, just to show how much we love it.
mm-hmm.
So when I went on the seawall, when I went to the beach a couple of years ago, there's this massive waste material that is unfit for a beach. It's placed in an area that didn't require building up. The area that he's building up is going down to the jetty, to the Demerara Riverside.
Mm-hmm.
Now, why would you wanna dump stuff there? You have to get an excavator front end loader to pick it up again to the back as they're doing now, as they had to do over the last 2 or 3 days. The plan was to make it uncomfortable for Guyanese visiting out there. You go there and they got all this mud and
Yeah.
all this
Yeah.
sand and rocks and old pipe and old rod taking over, and it would make it uncomfortable, and people would stop considering going on the beach to hang out and whatever. That was the plan for 6 months. When I went out and I saw it, I immediately blew a fuse and I said, enough is enough. We're gonna fight for this beach again, or we're gonna lose this beach totally. And I proceeded to tell them a piece of my mind. There's a few colorful language added to it, which sometimes,
Your own
not
style.
that I like doing it, I don't
Yeah.
exactly, I'm not a course board as such, but sometimes you need to let people know in no uncertain terms how angry you are
Yeah.
at something you see. And
Yeah.
it worked because the next day, the Ministry of Works sent down front end loaders and trucks, and they brought in new sand and immediately moved that pile of garbage, all, stuff unfit for a beach, and they took it down to the back. So it cost them twice as much to do that work
Mm-hmm.
because they had to get front end loaders to move it, they had to get trucks to move it. We're wasting money,
Yep.
wasting time.
Yep.
But the plan was to make it uncomfortable for visitors in the area, and people would actually say, "Man, look, I stinking beach no more," and give up the idea of visiting there. And then slowly they would have probably put up back the gate, and we would have lost that beach again.
Wow. Wow. Brian, what you said there is so important. And one wonders why we couldn't, do it properly in the first instance. We see we have this big energy conference coming, starting tomorrow. And if you go along the East Coast Road, you see they're pulling out weeds from the median in the road and putting sand and so on. Why that can't be how we operate on a daily basis, in regards of who in government, in regards of who is in power? Why that can be our modus operandi, us always trying to beautify, as against to degrade and to, bring the beach or other places
It's
to the state you found it the other day, and you raised that alarm. Why?
it's it's um it's to send a message to you, Sharon.
Mm-hmm.
It's to send a message to the Guyanese people. You're not gonna get much. Don't expect much.
Mm-hmm.
Don't expect us to treat you as you would treat the visitors. When the visitors come, we'll paint up your streets and cut the grass and make sure that they have something nice to look at. But as soon as they leave, you're gonna let it grow back again. So you can train your brain into knowing that you're not gonna get much.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of it's maybe sometimes you have somebody in your house and you're too happy to have them in your house, so you don't wash the don't wash, you don't put some soft drink in the fridge, you don't put two beer in.
Mm-hmm.
And if you
Mm-hmm.
see them in the fridge, just pull up and say, hey, what are you doing in the fridge? It's to it's to train Guyanese into knowing, hey, you ain't getting much, you won't get much. Don't get accustomed. You think that we can fix up the seawall from Camp Street to Kitty Roundhouse, put some sand, wash down that old seawall, and paint it up nicely. So when you pass, you have a nice light feeling. We want
Mm-hmm.
to keep you in a depressed mode and in a state of nothing nice can happen for you, because you see, if we fix up that seawall for you, you might get accustomed to asking for nicer things, and then you're gonna dep on the case. I'm talking as if I'm the government here.
Mm-hmm.
You want too much, so I'll let you know how much to get. It's a mental training.
Yes.
It's
Yeah.
something I guess quality on. There must be some book that leaders follow, some guideline book, and they tell leaders of the world, this is what you do to in that state of not expecting too much. Because I have no other answer for it.
Yeah. But and
Why would you not want to fix it? Look our current state of Georgetown. President and his team went out and they did some self-help work. But there's a bigger problem than there too. And this city, we need to employ 20,000 people, not only for Georgetown, Bank Corridor and the East Coast Corridor. Employ guys, pay them a decent salary to become cleaners of the country. We talk about creating 50,000 jobs, 20,000 jobs off the bat that can be created. And you pay people to keep the city clean. And Chinese, when we see the place clean, we do a little bit. We go home and we clean our carpets and stuff, because it's a mindset. You see something nice happening, and you want to be part of it.
mm-hmm. Correct.
But
Correct.
look for instance, if you go wrong by that roundabout, would it take too much for the Ministry of Works to dump some crush and run in that little part where the police got their outposts? There's a part that can they just sand and some crush and run rocks and make it up nicely, and you you're allowing that. Instance, let's just say, for the sake of argument, that the city is giving you a hard time. You're the government. Let's say politically they decide to give you a hard time. Why are you allowed to give you a hard time? You without undermining democracy. Because if you attempt to remove the mayor by replacing with an IMC and stuff like that, you're mashing on democracy.
Mm-hmm.
Now there are ways around democracy. You can create a unit in the Ministry of Works to clean the city. You want to blame. Oh, he's not doing enough, but you're not giving him money to do the work he needs to have to do the work, right? And you're encouraging your friends in the business community not to pay their taxes, so he's even more short in doing the work. You cannot do work in this massive city without money, and that's what it the Georgetown City Council. Not only to maintain some of the roads or most of the roads in the city, the suburb, the secondary roads, but they're like the city as well and pay GPL a massive amount of money to light the city. When GPL is using their carpets, the lantern posts on, paying them a fee for putting the lantern post. So instead of you give me some money for my that you want to put your post, I pay you some money for your lights, and we say, look, instead of we pass money, we just cut a deal and you don't pay as much. Let us take away the lighting of the city from the city council. Take that burden away from them and let them just concentrate on cleaning and carpets clean and doing the gutters. Take that massive weight off their shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
Take away that lighting of the city.
Mm-hmm.
Let the government, who collects billions of dollars at the when every container comes into Guyana. Look, I just saw the car series. I think they're now at P8D or something like that. That would mean that 30,000 were registered. Let us put $1 million to every vehicle registered, and you'll understand there are millions of dollars that this government has collected over the last 3 years since that new series came out. Every series is 10,000 vehicles. Every vehicle is $1.1 million for every 1,500cc car. So they're making a tremendous amount of money from the wharves. Why can't money go towards fixing of the city and assisting in the city council? And even if you don't want to give the city council money, at least you create a branch of works to assist the city council to keep the city and country clean.
Politics
But
all the time. Politics all the time.
politics, they want Ugachi if they clean it up. So
Yeah.
we back in a 6 to 9.
And you know what? You know
If
what?
we have to clean up, Ugachi will look good.
What you've articulated here, Bryan, seems to be an opinion shared by even Starbucks News, because in this Starbucks News editorial, rather, just this morning, just today, with the header being exploitive oil agreement and poor governance, Starbucks News said that I want to quote a section that, let me see if I got it right. Everything seems to have been lined up precisely for this conference. Everything seems to have been lined up precisely for this conference. The 2022 budget has been approved. The National Resources Fund can now be accessed. The second oil production platform has been inaugurated, and even the COVID curfew rather, is now over, and we can go on from there and say, the seawalls has been cleaned up, the East Coast Road has been washed, and all of that for this conference. And why can't we have this as the modus operandi on a daily basis? Because you really and truly value the city, you value Georgetown as a national capital city, and every other place. Why it has to be this one-off because some people come in? I think that is what we are addressing, and the deficiencies of not really and truly having appreciation for the system in a holistic way. Whereas we would have been partners with the city council, that is, as against fighting or trying to make the city look bad.
Yeah. Well, they're attempting again to do a show but two with the city.
Mm-hmm.
And that last cleanup of the city that they organized the other day, the intent of it truly was to do another MC.
Mm-hmm.
And we would have gone through that whole process again, because the people they just like to wake up and fight every day for no reason. They just like to wake up and fight. Like if the people doesn't fight every day, they don't feel good. So they gotta fight. They got some people that love to fight. They love an argument. We can't live quietly, go along. No, we gotta argue and fight every single day. And they gotta do things to make us wired up that we gotta argue with them on a daily basis.
Yeah. Sadly, that is the case. And you don't have to go far to see things run efficiently. Santoki is coming from Suriname, and you just step across the border there, and you see things operate vastly different. You got Trinidad. I don't know if Rowley come in, but Trinidad operates vastly different. As Nigel Hughes was saying on our morning program, certain things should be off limits to politics, and he outlined health and education as just two, and perhaps our defense of our territorial sovereignty, and perhaps things like City Hall should be depoliticized so that we can get the best out of a functioning city, like your garbage being picked up on time. You
yeah,
don't have to
yeah.
frightened for die with with some mosquito borne disease because of how things are being managed and so forth. How do we move forward, Bryan? I mean, you've been fighting because people have been fighting you and been fighting the society. They dump garbage on the seawall. You got to fight against them to move it. It seems as though if you don't cuss up and behave bad, nothing gets done. How do we move forward, Bryan? How? How?
The PPP gotta just realize that they don't own Ghana. That's their trouble. They seem to have this notion that they won by a couple thousand votes a seat, and they own the country. Then they can dictate to you how the country and only their opinion matters. And forces with PPP, a small group, they just like this argumentative way and just fighting on a daily basis. And they're gonna learn that without half of the country, their half can only go so far. If you want to incorporate all of us together, you don't always have to fight with the PNC.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Stop in an argument all the time. And it's just a mindset of this constant. Um, they got us where they work, in which they like to play the victim. They start a story and play the victim. They come on my page and send trolls on my page to attack me.
You're
And
not
when I
alone. You're not alone.
back to them,
Yeah.
them by just, oh, you don't like me. No, you came and you poke your finger in my eye, and I poke him back my finger in your eye now.
And then they
And
say
they cry
Bryan
and play this
abusive. They
victim
say
role,
Bryan
and
abusive.
they have mastered they have mastered the art of playing victim.
They
They
say
have
Bryan
mastered
abusive.
it.
Yeah.
Look,
Bryan.
look,
Uh-huh.
look at a case of them mastering the art.
Right ahead.
They
Tell us.
went and they bought the COVID vaccines on the ground, in the middle of the night from some little Arab sheik guy.
Dalmud Al
Well,
Maktoum. The shady sheet.
when the opposition leader queried it, the man spin the story wrong and said, here why you get and an man said, why you went in the middle of the night and buy the vaccine? He them by no, you ain't want people to get the vaccine, you get the vaccine. And then man story and played victim.
Mm-hmm.
They are masters. If you don't understand that with them, and they use simplicity of their less educated followers to carry this line, we're always the victims. Chetty mastered it from way back, and they have re-enlisted that thinking, and so they rush up, and when you get vexed back with them, they say, you see the man, you don't like me. It's not a matter that it's just that they like this constant, I think it's
They like
diverse.
confusion powder. That's what we say around here.
Confusion powder. You gotta learn these names, man. You gotta look at the show a little more often
Confusion
and get this
powder. The
confusion
wicked,
powder.
the
It's really
wicked stinking
confusion powder.
dirty.
You don't see.
Bryan, but let me ask you something.
They run. Look, the confusion was so visibly the other day in Parliament when Nicolette picked up the mace. It's not the first
That was Annette.
to pick up the mace, by the way. Other
Annette
people picked up the
Ferguson.
mace before. But it swung that whole story. And everything became about the mace.
Mhm.
Without realizing that you just gave a guy full permission to appoint 5 persons to overlook billions and billions of US dollars in our reserve money.
Yep.
But they swung that story around so much. The whole internet was about Nicolette and the mace. And there's a man running down the road with the bag of money, and nobody was seeing him because the confusion powder, you throw a big set of the confusion powder up in the air.
I see
The
some
mass
people saying, talk the things, Bryan. Talk
powder.
the things. Go right ahead. Bryan, the question I have for you, Bryan,
Yeah.
I know, and the hundreds of folks watching us know some of your
Yeah.
history. You were one of the folks who were out there. You felt that the election was being rigged, and you allowed to hold that opinion. And you lent
Yeah.
your advocacy for the folks who were watching the ballot boxes and all of that. Fair enough. I have no trouble with that. I love people who have the courage, Brian, of their convictions.
Mm.
I have no trouble with that. You felt the way you felt, and you position yourself a certain way. But did you expect things to have gone downhill so fast? I mean, cost of living is where it is. You see what's happening in oil and gas. You see what's happening with the environment. Did you expect at any point things would have gone so fast? South.
They, in a way, it's two different issues altogether.
Hmm.
I, my advocacy for the ballot boxes was, let me conquer in the ballot boxes, and you bring your proof, and they bring the proof, and let us see
Hmm.
uh, what happened. Because the chips could have fallen anywhere. Any side could have benefited from my being out there guarding the ballot boxes, because we really didn't know what was inside.
Hmm.
Because who knows what could have happened, right?
Yeah.
But in, I don't like to associate the ballot boxes what's happening now, but you must in some way, because it affects you. Now, prior to the budget, on my page, I said, if you work for less than $100,000 a month, you pay no taxes, because it takes 100,000 and more for a small family of two, a man, his wife, and a four or three, to survive in Guyana at a very basic level. 100,000 is no kind of money; it's $500.
Hmm.
A little apartment in Kiki downstairs, bottom flat, they get flooded every now and then. Minimum, even from a family member, will cost you 40,000 a month. If you don't know the post, you're going to rent it from them. They're gonna paint it up, then a bed and a wardrobe. They can call it a self-contained apartment. It's 70,000. Most policemen, nurses, teachers, public servants work for about $80,000 a month. Now, when you got to pay 60, 70,000 for just this with a little roof over your head, where the rest of the money coming from?
Hmm.
So if I work in, let's say, for 80,000 or 90,000, you taking tax money out of that, income tax money, if you're taking bread out of, literally taking bread from my mouth. So I said, the least we can do is, if you work for $1.2 million a year or $100,000 per month, you pay no income tax, and that's the only fair thing to do. They didn't go with that; you're still paying, and then they came up with a 7% wage hike, as they call it. And somebody in my page came in and said, we're the only country in the world to give out a 7%. I said, yeah, but the 7% came up to $20 or 4,000 Ghana dollars per month, working for $80,000, which 95%, of course, people in Ghana on that kind of money.
Hmm.
85,000. Policemen work for, I think, 87,000. They pay some kind of tax on it. Nurses make 85, 87,000. When you become the matron, okay, you get most of the sisters barely take home 90, 95,000 a month. You're taking bread out of when you take income tax that they need. That tax that they have to pay you, they need that to live. So you take it out of their salaries as if you're taking it off the table, because that $9,000, $10,000 that they're gonna pay in taxes, they need that to get to work. They need it
Yep.
to,
Yep.
to chat.
Yep.
Need it. It takes, you cannot put less than $500 hand now to go to school, because the drink is $200, and 100 Polari egg ball for $150. If you got a good letter writing skills, you can get 2 free egg ball at Freedom House if you write a good letter to Taki or you. But if you don't have that, that's off a quad body.
Below the belt.
Don't have that
Uh-huh.
writing skill to cost down me or cost down Sherrod or cost down somebody.
Mhm.
You're gonna got to buy the egg ball. So at some point, we have to look at the people of Ghana. It's all nice to waste money. Like I see, they just built a walkway on Lamaha Street on that old railway line embankment. They dumped a tremendous amount of money into that.
They said
Now
that
that money could have
that's the safe
gone
zone. If you want to go rob and so that's the safe zone that you must go and stand up.
safe zone.
The safe
Safe
zone.
zone with overhead line with 11,000 volts, 14,000 volts running through. Created a magnet electricity circuit down at the bottom. If you're walking at the bottom, you can probably get cancer. So at some point, they gotta move the overhead heavy duty 1,000 or the 5,000 volt lines. Because you can't have a safe zone when them heavy duty wires are running over little your head. I didn't quite think about it.
Mm-hmm. 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 Yep. But Brian, do you ever? I mean, you're on the forefront. We see you by the seawall. We saw
Yeah,
you right there a couple of weeks ago. Standing in defense of them blocking the gate. We see you,
yeah.
out front all the time. Do you ever fear for your safety? Because we know the excesses of this regime. They are known. They have been in power for 23 years prior to this new this dispensation. Their barbarity and cruelty is known. Do you ever fear for yourself? For your
I've
family.
been told lately, for some reason, I've been told lately by a number of friends that I must look out for my safety.
Hmm.
And I was never told it before, really.
Hmm.
Even in the days when I was guiding the classes and people saw me being a PPP man out there and I helped in the PPP, which I wasn't.
Hmm.
I never feared for my life, right? We had a little and showboating with James and stuff like. I never feared. I went
Hmm.
about. Other guys would see me and they would just turn their face and they won't even bother with me. They just and I went about the place all over. I never even changed the look of my vehicle.
Hmm.
Same coloration, same color, same thing on the bonnet, whatever. It didn't matter to me. But a lot of people lately have been telling me, as if they know more than me,
Hmm.
to be wary,
Hmm.
not to be much, and to be home as much as or. And this is people who seem to know better than me because
Hmm.
um.
But Brian, speaking out is in your blood, right? To tell you
But
not
it's
to
part
speak
of
out
what.
in issues like to tell you to have a cold and
But
stay
for
in bed.
some reason,
Hmm.
the people seem to think that we are some kind of friends that I cannot say anything against the PPP.
But Brian, isn't that our fundamental problem? You said something prior. I want to circle back to that
Yeah,
people thought you were PPP. That's number one. And I'm gonna
yeah,
ask the questions. I'm gonna be facetious and ask the question. So what? If you PPP, my thing is, if
right.
you PPP, be a good PPP person, right?
Yeah,
Want the best for the people, want the best resources to get to the people. Be a good PPP person. If you're WPA, be a good WPA
yeah,
person. If whichever party you belong to, APNU, AFC, whichever, be a good person and try to influence the system, whether it's politically, economically, to benefit the people. So I don't see nothing. If you want to be PPP, you do that. Live your best
yeah,
life, right?
yeah,
But you shouldn't have to be fearful that because of the views you hold, somebody's going to harm you because they feel as though you advocating in a certain way and get them out of power. Nonsense. This country
yeah,
belongs to all of us, and we got to find a space to sit down and talk like you and I talk, even though we might have different political affiliations or belief or no political affiliations. How do we move this country forward in the interest of all of us? That is what has to concern us
true.
as against who is PPP and who is some
Yeah,
of something
yeah.
else. I just want to stick that in there.
For too long, we have allowed the politics and the politicians to sway us
Hmm.
into disliking the other side. I've seen PPP politicians. I've seen APNU AFC PNC politicians dislike someone for different opinion. And I even had a little talk a couple of years ago with one. I said, "Man, but that guy is doing what you do. You're a politician.
Hmm.
You got your opinion. He has his. Let him have a right to his opinion without thinking that you should beat him up or do him something to quiet him down because you're both in the same business."
Yeah. What I disagree with is the approach, is the propensity for corruption, is the propensity to that's the fundamental differences that we have
Yeah,
politically. How we're gonna move this country forward. The blind eye that is being turned. I mean, we're 18 months in. we have Sugate, for crying out loud, Brian. We got
Yeah.
Sugate and we got other gates, right? We got Seawall Gate and a whole set of other gates. How do we move this country forward if all people want to do is thief? It's thief.
Well,
And you see, when you confront those issues the way you confronting them, you got challenges with your safety.
yeah. Well, Sugate is not going away.
How so?
Sugate is not going away
like,
because
like you know something we know,
I'm
Brian.
some simple question asked. It was just a reporter asking some, and the man out there try. I thought the man was in a ring and somebody give you an uppercut. Somebody hit he live or something at the back. The man had to open a bottle of water. He didn't even have a nice glass. Maybe he doesn't trust people around him too much. But the man looked for a minute like if he was in 12 round ring. I thought the man was in the ring.
The man was against the ropes, Brian. He was against the ropes.
The man,
and taking some hits to the head.
Sugate is going nowhere. Sugate is here to stay. And I think in all fairness to Guyana, I think Sugate should be investigated by a professional team of investigators, and let's get to the bottom of Sugate. Because
I agree with you.
yeah,
Brian,
we gotta get
would
to the
you
bottom
say
of it. Too many questions are being raised
the
now
people
about
in
Sugate.
Sugate got to take a lie detector test? Would you say they should take a lie detector test? Let's get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, let's get to the bottom of it. And let's get Mr. Sue to answer a few questions. I don't want you to tell me that Sue said he didn't say. I want to ask Sue himself.
What would you ask him,
I want
Brian?
to see Sue and ask him.
What would you ask him?
If Sue can be found, Sue should have been already questioned by the Integrity Commission of Guyana to find out, Mr. Sue, have you been doing business here in Guyana that we don't know about? We should have an arm, whether it's grounded in the Guyana Police Force or if it's grounded in an organization such as the Integrity Commission, to be able to launch an investigation into politicians or any public figure. If reason is given and questions are raised, and you've been asked a simple question and you were unable to answer it, and then even when you were babbling the answers, you said you have overseas account, you own the building next door to you. You also own that massive piece of land with, and now you own the building next door that once belonged to Roger Luncheon. How are you acquiring all? Where's this money coming from? I mean, it's all of us money. When politicians remove money from the coffers of a country, it is your children's money that is being tampered with.
Correct.
It's the future generations to come that could have gone to do school, that could have gone to improving the technical institute. They could have brought in a new lathe with that money. They could have expanded their computer classes that they do. They could have done better medicines for the Georgian hospital. They could have gone probably to paying nurses and teachers and police better.
Very well. Yep.
We need an arm, Integrity Commission, to follow up on things like Sugate and ask the politicians a few questions. And at some point, available to the public so that the public can make a decision or have answers for questions that have come up in the public domain.
Yep.
This mustn't just be explained away. We want to know answers. We want answers.
Yep. And Brian, I'm certain you had a chance to look at that interview, at least that section of it that was published on Facebook.
Yeah.
When you look at it and you see, as you said, the man back against the wall and the way and manner he answered this question, what do you think? Guilty or innocent? What do you think? Guilty or innocent?
What do they call it? Body language.
Body language.
That thing made instantly went and I Googled all the body language reactions. And according to the expert, not on me because I'm not an expert in it, but according to the experts, if you drink water, your mouth gets dry, your eye gets shifty, you look down, you look sad, you're lying.
Oh, Sue?
You're lying.
Oh, Sue? Oh, Sue? Oh,
That's what
Brian,
that's what the experts
that's what experts says.
on
Now use
YouTube.
them.
I went through quite a bit,
Mhm.
and then I call a couple of got in the police force who do investigation, and them boys are very good at reading signs and body language. And they said that they thinkish. They ain't too sure, but they thinkish that they like to ask if you more.
Take care.
That young lady did a huge favor to Guyana. When she came,
Uh-huh.
we owe her a great
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
she gave us an insight into something that a lot of people always wanted to ask. And she reacts when the questions are asked. And we had a good opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And Sugeta's going to be around for a little while more. It's going to
Good
be
because
definitely around for a little while more.
indeed, because we didn't see the report yet. We haven't seen Isabel Young's
Oh, that's going
report
to
as
be
yet.
juicy.
So we're waiting
When
on
a
that.
report comes out, it's going to be juicy, boy. They're going to be a juicy
I like
report.
that. Juicy.
Juicy. Juicy.
Juicy. Well, Brian, when it comes back, please come and be our guest. And if anything happens before then, we'd love to have you back. We don't have enough time today. You know, the breadth and the depth of your own experiences and knowledge,
Yeah,
it's very, very useful for the Guyanese people. And if we can help in amplifying that, we'd be happy to do so. So, when Sugate comes out, we can have a panel. Brian.
definitely.
And we're gonna ring that for all the juice it got. So good to have
I
you, Brian.
actually sent I actually sent the clip that I was able offline to a body language specialist in the United States, and the person promised me that it looks like juicy material, and they will definitely have a look at it and do a review and an explanation of the body language you're seeing on YouTube. So as soon as they get around to doing it, I'll post that link on my Facebook page.
Good. Brian, where can people find you? And what comes next on social media? People want to
Social
follow
media
this juicy stuff.
.com/Bryan Maxx.
Where?
BRYNMAX. That's the main one. They got a couple of other ones, Brian, with a double X and MACK, but the main one with I think 20,000 followers and 5,000 friends is Facebook/BRYNMAX.
Great. We hope folks can follow you to get the juicy stuff. The juicy stuff.
Juicy stuff.
Brian, thanks very much.
Keep them busy.
So
You see, I'm sure I am fighting up in this. I'm trying to qualify for the finals because
I know.
of social media in Ghana is like Sarah Duncan, who has the best show, and I've said that to you many times, best show. I only want to catch up near you, buddy, because
Brian, you're too kind.
you're the man.
And folks, Brian has told me that
You're
many
the king
times.
of television, king of shows in Ghana right now.
Thanks very much, Brian, for your kindness. That being said, Brian, the last thing you were working on is the advocacy for what was happening there by the Pegasus Marriott beachfront there. You got your side set on anything else, or you don't want to disclose that yet?
We got a couple of things we're working on. We got definitely working on some other stuff.
Okay.
But I'm not going away. I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to be here for a little while more. So it's what might happen tomorrow at the Pegasus, not at the Marriott for the oil conference.
Good.
I understand there's going to be some people protesting out there tomorrow.
Well, I did that myself.
Oxford might be very live out there to cover that event with a few personal opinions of my own.
But then all roads lead there then.
All roads lead.
Yeah.
I would suggest all Guyanese,
on the ground.
if you ever want to have a say in your future, I think you should get a little placard, write it up, and go and spend an hour or two.
I'm going to be there.
And let the
Personally, I'm going to be there.
politicians and the oil barons know
Yeah.
what you think about them and what you think of where the oil sharing deal is going right now for Guyanese. Because I can tell you, Sherrod, the average Guyanese hasn't seen a penny of that oil.
Pace and power, Brian. Pace and power in 2022.
Pace and power. The cost of living has gone up because of oil and other issues relating to shipping around the world. But because inflation, because of the money, the oil people reading the guys are reading in the newspapers, but the oil money kind of their prices like how everybody else is doing for rentals, for homes, and everything. And the poor people are suffering. They're not seeing a penny.
Indeed, Brian. Thanks so much for
Yeah,
joining us on our podcast today. We definitely have to have you back, Brian. You just know too much, you're involved in too much. We have to have you back soon as.
thank
Thanks
you
very much
very
for
much.
joining us.
Definitely. Call
Fantastic.
anytime. Thanks a lot.
Great, great. Thanks,
Bye bye.
Brian. Folks, that's the one and only Bryan Maxx. You might disagree with him, you might disagree with his advocacy, folks, and we can't necessarily not talk to each other because we believe different things at different times. And we understand, some of you guys, we have our disagreements with Brian. You're vexed. Let me admit it. We vexed that Brian went out the garden ballot box and said that up new AFC rig and sound. Let's admit that, right? But let's admit also that it was his very strong advocacy and so many other issues since then. The most recent being this install regime dumping all the filth and stuff behind the Guyana Pegasus Marriott area there. And we shared Bryan Max's video in our program. And Brian is, as he said in his very colorful language, he stuck to them. And there's listen. We stuck to them and there's listen. Folks, we can't do this by ourselves. Brian is useful to the struggle. I do my bit. You got Mark doing his bit, and everybody else. We might disagree invariably at different times on how the approach should be and all of that. And but if with this country develops and if things are changed, like when Brian talk, people change what's happening on the seawall, and Mark talk, and what's his name, my friend and brother Rick Ford talk, and people movements, folks, right? Listen to me. If you drunk, then use worry who come for save you. When you start hollering help and screaming help, if I turn up, you say no, no, use Apnu AFC. Go find a PP person for come save me. No, help is help, folks. Help is help, and boots on the ground right now. All hands on deck, folks. All hands on deck. If we sit down quiet because a man said something a couple of years ago, right? If I sit down quiet, right? If them boys lash James Bond sometime, a mean speaker because James Bond says something that vexed me sometime, who we be? We replicating more the same thing, man. We carrying the same baggage or the past, right? But it's finding a way forward, sitting down around the table and say, listen to me. How do we dislodge these people? How do we expose, right? And depose these people? Because look what happening. Imagine we are next 2 years under this madness here. Another is Sugate after Sugate, right? It's Mugate, Sugate, you gate, me gate, all we gates, folks. Still the gate can fall off if we continue on this trajectory. But it's all of us in our own way applying the pressure. Pressure, like Crabman said, pressure, folks. Pressure. We gotta apply the pressure. I'm gonna be out there tomorrow. I'm gonna be out there as a citizen, as a parliamentarian. I'm gonna be out there in front of the Marriott protesting tomorrow, folks. Boots on the ground, wing back and down. And if you feel the same way, you know what you gotta do. If you feel the same way, you know what you have to do to make your voice heard. There comes a time you got to move off social media and on the ground. And sometimes you're on the ground on social media at the same time. Boots on the ground, way back and down. I will be out there. I cannot command, I cannot tell you what to do with your time. Right? And what your level of involvement and resistance, you understand me, should be. Right? But you got to know what you're willing to give to the struggle. We out here. We out here. Thanks, Bryan Maxx, for stopping by and for giving some context and guidance on these varied issues, guys. And thanks to each and every one of you guys. Your funding sent to do these programs. We got FYI in the mornings. We got Below the Belt middays. And we got In the Ring at 8, folks. Then we got Credible Sources, our website. Right, our affiliate website, our affiliate programs, and I got other things we can be doing. They got other things we can be doing. So I encourage you guys to continue to partner with us. And those of you who've done so in the past, consider doing so again. And those of you who've never done so, come on board, folks. Partner with us and help us to continue to grow from strength to strength, folks. We're going to continue to bring you the information that matters, guys, credible and valid. We have several platforms available. We got the Cash App. The Cash App handle there is the $ in the ring 592. We got PayPal and Zelle. The one email address for both is in the ring 592 gmail.com. We got MMG, that's the GT&T system. Our number there is 627-6963. We are available via MoneyGram and Western Union as well. You guys need any guidance, that very MMG number, you can WhatsApp and we'll tell you how you can contribute via any one of these platforms. Come on board and help us to do more of these programs, help to do more of this communication work, guys. Help us to build out our systems. Folks, we can't do this alone. We got people behind the scenes helping us. We got writers, we got reporters, we got cameramen, we got a crew helping us to do this. How else we can do it? How else we can bring you all the valid and credible information, guys? We gotta put we money where we mouth. And I want to thank all of you guys who've been helping us thus far. It means a lot. It means a lot. Respect and manners to Bryan Maxx and all the other folks who've joined us today, like Howard Dainty and Deborah Clark, Erwin Don Cook, and Joylyn. Erwin Don Cook, yes, and Joylyn Cook as well. All the cooks here today. Amanda Daniels and Mark DeCosta. Good to see you, Mark. Good to see Deborah Clark. Debbie, how are you doing, Deborah? Andrew Cuthbert is here as well, and Tasha Salet, Laverne Harcher, and Kelman, and Deborah Leach too is here, and we got all the other folks like Cheryl Mulray and folks Santoki on the ground. The guys are telling me Santoki. Chandrika Prasad Santoki, the president of Suriname, is on the ground. I'm seeing images of him being greeted at the airport by none other than the installed vice president, Mark Phillips. Folks, welcome Santoki. Welcome, Your Excellency, the president of Suriname. He is on the ground, and I'm watching him take the salute there at, I think that is the Cherry Jagged International. No, it's the Eugene Correa International Airport there at Ogle. He touched down there just a short while ago, and we're seeing some images of that. Spotted, folks, spotted at Eugene Correa International Airport. Chandrika Prasad Santoki, the president of Suriname, is here as well for that oil conference, and we're going to be oil and gas conference. We're going to be following that on our programs throughout the day and into tomorrow as the conference opens. The weather.com tells us we're going to have some rain, guys. We're going to watch that, but nonetheless, rain or shine, boots on the ground. Program, boots on the ground. Program, boots on the ground. That's what we're going to do at this end. We're going to see you guys right back here at 8 this evening for In the Ring, folks. In the Ring at 8. Thanks for joining our international podcast, Below the Belt, Who Vex Lose. Have a fantastic rest of the day, folks. Have a fantastic rest of the day. Thanks for joining our podcast, Below the Belt, Respected Manners. That's our time. Stay safe, guys. Stay safe.